Hi everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Operations Trends That Can Solve Your Maintenance Issues. If you haven't called into our audio yet, follow the instructions in the chat box in the bottom left-hand corner. Today we'll start with our welcome and introductions, move into our 3 maintenance trends to know, then a quick solutions overview if time allows, question and answer session, and then closing remarks. Remember to submit questions throughout the presentation into the chat box in the bottom left-hand corner, and we'll answer them at the end. If you don't get to your question, we'll be sure to follow up via email following the webcast. Now introducing our speakers. Lori currently serves as Senior Application Engineer at SchoolDude Solutions. This requires her to know our solutions inside and out while being in tune with the pain points of our clients. Previously serving in the Client Services Center, she helped implement thousands of clients and assisted them with strategic problem solving and solutions. Lori is also a U.S. Army veteran, having served as a Maintenance Management Officer and holds a BA in Sociology from Trinity University. She is currently pursuing her MBA. Curtis is the Manager of Building Maintenance for Frederick County Public Schools in Frederick, Maryland. He is an IFMA Certified Facility Manager, NEEC Certified Building Operator, and an IFMA Credentialed FMP. He manages the maintenance program for 70 buildings, totaling approximately 7 million square feet of space for K-12 education administration, serving 42,204 students and 5,771 employees. Curtis served as a volunteer fire chief and an instructor for the University of Maryland, Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute. Mike is the CMMS Administrator for Frederick County Public Schools in Frederick, Maryland. He's a certified DUDE and Maintenance Direct, IFMA Credentialed FMP, and has completed George Mason University's certification program in facility management. Mike manages the data input and exported, workflow for Maintenance Direct, PM Direct, and capital forecasting for 70 buildings totaling approximately 7 million square feet of space for K-12 education administration serving 42,204 students and 5,771 employees. Mike also serves as a Senior Enlisted Leader for Assault Craft 2 in Baltimore, Maryland as a Navy Reservist. He has 26 years of service in the Navy and 22 years at SCPS. Now, Lori, you can take it from here.
Great, thanks, Cameron. So 5 education operations trends to know for 2018. As many of you know, we recently released an ebook that covers the 5 education operations trends to know for 2018. Preventive and predictive maintenance, cost recovery, energy savings, health and safe schools, and business. Today, we're only going to focus on the 3 maintenance trends you should know for 2018, which are preventive and predictive maintenance, healthy and safe schools, and business intelligence. We will be walking through exactly what these trends are and what your organization should do in regards to them. Remember, feel free to ask questions along the way. We'll be addressing them during our live Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Also, if you are interested in our other 2 trends, cost recovery and energy savings, submit a request for the ebook in the questions section, and we can send you a copy following this presentation. So let's begin with trend number 1, preventive and predictive maintenance. If you know us at SchoolDude Solutions, you know 2 words light up our faces: preventative maintenance. We define PM as scheduled maintenance in an effort to keep all your assets functioning properly for as long as possible according to best practices. Besides, why put off tomorrow what you can get done today? Without PM, we find ourselves in reactive mode, constantly rushing to correct the latest breakdown. We all know emergency corrective maintenance takes more time, money, disruption, and stress. So let's think about it this way. Consider your own life. Say you have a nagging cavity. Will it take time to have the procedure and to heal? Yes. Will you have to pay for something you would rather not pay for to have it taken care of? Absolutely. But would you rather take care of the cavity than get a root canal later? No doubt, which is what you'll end up paying for if you don't get your cavity fixed. Now, keeping in the same line of thinking, and now apply it to your facility. What keeps organizations from implementing PM? It takes effort, time, and money to get up and running. Though the return on investment is more than worthwhile, organizations still aren't making PM a priority and are running into some serious deferred maintenance issues. Did you know that in the past 5 years, maintenance needs has risen 18%, equaling roughly $6,462 per student? And studies show our country currently faces $500 billion in deferred maintenance. With a preventive maintenance system in place, you could see a 50 to 60% reduction in the rate of emergency work and 28 to 39% reduction in average cost per work order. While preventive maintenance is a must, there's an even smarter way to work that you should think about: predictive maintenance. So let me explain. Predictive maintenance is no small trend. It's a game-changing approach to maintenance and facility management. While it's important to have an effective preventive maintenance system in place to effectively tackle the recurring tasks of your institution, wouldn't it be nice to have a system that could analyze your data and identify trends and issues you'll encounter down the road in advance? Where predictive maintenance differs from preventive maintenance is the level of intricacy and customization. While having a PM program is great, it does allow for a bit of guesswork. Predictive maintenance, on the other hand, knows your assets so well it can see what's coming and communicate with you before the problem arises, helping you optimize each asset's performance according to its individual needs. Where preventive maintenance says your roof should last 30 years as long as you perform these maintenance measures at this cadence, predictive maintenance responds to the actual condition of the roof versus its age or manual guidelines. You may have heard the buzz around the IoT in the last few years, and for good reason. IoT stands for the Internet of Things, and it's a term used to refer to a web of connected devices, often communicating through the Internet. For instance, it's how your Amazon Alexa can order you a pizza and your phone can close your garage. So many acronyms I know. So here's a refresher. So PDM stands for Predictive Maintenance, IoT stands for the Internet of Things, and CMMS stands for Computerized Maintenance Management Solutions. Translating that to organizations, IoT enables us to accomplish tasks without human intervention. This means even though your HVAC should last 10 years as long as you perform regular maintenance, you won't be surprised when it breaks down in 7. Why? Because you were alerted thanks to the IoT. IoT keeps track of work order history, building conditions, and other things to calculate how your HVAC is truly holding up, as opposed to relying on a blanketed timetable. IoT is the foundation of predictive maintenance. It's equipment and other assets using smart technology to predict your own issues well before they occur. So at last, where does CMMS come in? That's the best part. To begin, a system can't generate a work order without a CMMS to send it through. There's more, too. A CMMS will provide somewhere you can keep track of the data and parts associated with all of your equipment. What data is your system basing its predictions on? How many work orders have been created? What parts are continuously failing? All of that information at your fingertips and able to be reported to those that want transparency. While IoT is a backbone of predictive maintenance, a smart, easy-to-use CMMS is the backbone of the Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things typically starts with a network of devices tied into a centralized place, and then that information is distributed out amongst other devices and eventually on to the end user. What we've done here is try to develop one front end that takes all of our buildings, brings it into one place, and this is actually my view. We're split up into 8 maintenance areas. Each maintenance area would only see one of those 8 blocks up there. So they would only be looking at 8 to 11 buildings at any one time. The red squares indicate alarms at specific buildings. The black squares indicate items that are offline. So it's a good, quick reminder first thing in the morning of where they have issues. And then they would move on to the next page within the graphics where there's a general layout of energy, first floor, second floor, quick access buttons, and then the primary systems within the building are laid out. So you can see in this case that all of the fans are green, which means they're all running, and there are some values in these different blocks that give you an indication of where your systems are performing. One thing that we've included in the upper right-hand corner is the time and date on every screen, so that if you're having an issue at any point in time, you can capture a screenshot of that and you have an exact date and time of when that occurred. So if you drill down a little bit farther, like the classroom unit ventilators on the second floor, zone 2, you get this pop-up that gives you all of those classroom unit vents where you can quickly go down through the zone temperatures, the ones in white. And you see that one of them is a little bit out of character for what it should be. It's 78 degrees. That's a little bit warm. You can have alarm set points set up on that would show up in your alarm screen, but then farther push it out to a mobile device. That's where you start to get into the Internet of Things, is actually sharing that information out through some means to people wherever they are. They don't have to be sitting in the office in front of the computer to actually be able to get that information. We've set up our PMs and our preventive and predictive maintenance based on guidelines from NFPA and RS means, ASHRAE, as well as other organizations that have recommendations and standards that would be used for that. NFPA is typically adopted in our area as code, so it comes from being a recommendation into being a requirement. Right now in our PM program, we're really only doing thermal imaging. This coming year, we're going to start moving into some vibration analysis. We didn't want to jump in too quickly with too many different things. We wanted to get a good idea for what we could actually handle with a 2-man team as far as the thermal imaging.
So this is an example of what we mean when we're talking about NFPA. This is an example of our preventive maintenance action for our fire extinguishers. And what we do is we actually pull the requirement right out of NFPA and we put that in our procedures. That way our mechanics know exactly what it is they're supposed to do, and we're tagging it back to a national standard. As you can see, on this next slide, you can see as I zoom in what it actually looks like, how we're spelling it out per NFPA 10.7.2 for the fire extinguisher, and then the task below that. Now, this is an example of the NFPA actions. Curtis had talked about the RS means examples. So this is an example of what the RS means looks like, and what that is that's a national standard as well that gives you actual PM procedures and checkpoints, and it also gives you time allowed to do that maintenance. So at the end of this, you'll have an estimate of how long it'll take you to do your preventive maintenance actions. So we took you can buy a copy of the RS means and get the license for it, and you can actually copy the procedures right from RS means and actually load them right into your preventive maintenance actions. This really helped us start our PM program a lot faster by not having something that was, oh, well, this is what I think we should be doing. Here's a national standard that we're tying everything to.
So as part of our predictive maintenance program and the thermal imaging that they're doing, back in November of 2016, the diagram on the left, a temperature was taken on a bearing. It was 66.6 degrees, not a huge issue. But in March of 2018, the picture on the right, temperatures had gone up to 94.4, 95.4, 93.3, which indicates that something is wrong there and we need to take some actions before the bearing actually fails, freezes to the shaft, flies apart, whatever. It could potentially end up in thousands of dollars of damage if that bearing flies apart and squirrel cage goes into the housing of the air handling unit that it's in. So by finding this, you can schedule your corrective action and take care of it before you have to have a forced shutdown and possibly an interruption in services in your building.
Wonderful. All right. So just to kind of recap or summarize on the results from our predictive maintenance and discussion, roughly about 75% of you on the line with us and are not currently using a predictive maintenance, so glad then that we can kind of share some insight there. Now moving on then to healthy and safe schools. Again, just to get a feel for what is going on within each of your environments, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you think the quality of facilities impacts student and faculty performance? So again, obviously then, all of you on the line with us and do agree that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis certainly then impacts overall performance of the folks that are within your facilities. So when it comes to then K through 12 students, they spend roughly 35 hours a week in a school environment. For those of you within the higher education arena, college students are in classrooms and labs approximately 20 to 30 hours. With that much of their time spent in one setting, we owe it to students to make sure their atmosphere is healthy, safe, stimulating, and customized to the needs of a variety of learners and personalities. Much research has been conducted showing a definite relationship between environmental factors and employee productivity and morale, but this concept has yet to be widely applied to institutions. Hopefully then those of you on the line with us are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the philosophy that conveys how one's basic biological and physiological needs must be met before achieving the ability to thrive and perform creatively and intelligently at full potential. Students must feel fed, rested, well, safe, and comfortable before they can truly engage intellectually, emotionally, and socially. Studies show that students score 5 to 17 times higher on tests when in high-functioning facilities. Older facilities that experience issues like poor heating and ventilation, bad lighting, crowding, and excessive noise bleed over between rooms create a difficult atmosphere for students to get comfortable in, much less prosper. Children, teens, and those with learning impairments struggle the most to acclimate to these environments. Making adjustments to your school's atmosphere takes time, though, and often money, so don't feel like you have to upgrade everything at once. Consider addressing these 4 common areas institutions struggle with. First, lighting. So improper lighting can be a huge distraction and detriment to student learning. Lighting in the classroom should be high enough for students to see optimally, but natural enough to be soothing. Noise. Thin walls can result in noisy distractions from hallways and nearby rooms that disrupt students' ability to focus and hear. Temperature. It's hard for anyone to focus and do their best when shivering or sweating due to poorly regulated temperatures, much less minors or those with sensitivities to atmosphere. Stuffy, warm rooms naturally lead to drowsy learners, and a chilly environment may keep students alert, but they'll also be uncomfortable and have trouble doing their best. Air quality. The quality of your facility's air is not something you want to understate. Poor air quality can have big consequences, including student and faculty illness, a rise in absenteeism, and serious repercussions for students with asthma, allergies, and other breathing difficulties. How can a CMMS help? The answer is simple. All of the information associated with these issues is stored in one transparent, user-friendly location. A CMMS will help you keep track of work orders that are associated with your East Building's HVAC. 7 work orders associated with noise in 3 weeks. It could be time to get a new part, and now you have the data to prove the need. A CMMS will also enable your reps to get the information they need at their fingertips when they need it. No more going back to the office to have work orders printed. Now, your technicians will have information on all of their work orders at the touch of their smart device, ensuring your institution stays in tip-top shape, and when maintenance problems inevitably arrive, they can be solved as quickly as possible. There are plenty of other reasons that it's absolutely crucial to have a CMMS to keep your institution in the best shape possible, but for the sake of time, we're going to move on to our third trend, and we'll come back to this in more detail as time permits. Also, please remember to keep sending in questions for us to go over throughout our conversation.
So beginning with the interview process, we try to stress the importance of supporting high-quality education by providing that optimal learning environment to people that are going to work for us. And we continue that throughout their onboarding process and throughout their career here at Frederick County Public Schools. We try to tie all of that into an aspirational goals as established by our Board of Education so that when we report to them, we are able to tie things to their aspirational goals and let them know that we heard what their objectives and their mission is for us, and that we are evaluating ourselves as to how well we're able to accomplish that. Part of the way that we do that is through purpose code and crafts. There's not, nor would you want a whole lot of different ways to break things down, or you just end up with a whole bunch of information that you really can't make any useful information out of. So we've chosen some purpose codes and crafts that we use and use those to filter out and evaluate our progress through KPIs and through the BI tool. An example of some of that from Categorizing Work is a percentage of work orders submitted by role. We are the green block, or the blue block. The top 20% is green block. The peer median is the goldish colored block, and the low is the red block. So we look at this. The first one looks like we may not be doing so well, with the requesters, but in our mind, that is good. We like to feel that we're catching problems and addressing them before the teacher or the assistant principal, custodian, whoever finds the problem and reports it through the work order process. We like to be able to make it as easy for a teacher and administrative staff to come into the building and concentrate on education as possible, yet we still have to let them know that we're there and what we do. So it's a real fine line of taking care of that.
So another way that we help the quality and the safety in the schools is we we have a water quality department, and they have PMs that they perform as well. So on our water distribution system here at Frederick County Public Schools, we're one of the schools that have off in the summer. One of the things that's recommended is before school is back in session is to flush all of the pipes, the piping system, so that the water is clean and ready to go for when students come back into the school. So one of the ways we do that is with this PM for water quality. And as you can see here, we just spell out exactly what they should be doing as they go into the school.
All right, so business intelligence. So this one is a little more obvious than the others. A CMMS system is what relates business intelligence to maintenance operations. Business intelligence is one of SchoolDude's favorite topics because it's our mission to help schools and campuses work smarter and make more informed, data-driven decisions that set them and their students up for long-term success. It's also the glue that pulls our first 4 trends together and makes them possible. Business intelligence is your control center for working smarter. DUDE studies show that only 1/3 of surveyed participants were familiar with business intelligence, or BI, in recent years. However, 2/3 were experiencing an increasing demand for data analysis and reporting. In the spirit of do more with less, BI will be non-negotiable moving forward to make sound decisions based on facts, not feelings. It not only helps institutions make better decisions, but makes conversations around decisions easier as well, because it's easy to argue about opinions, but very difficult to reason against data. BI empowers education leaders by helping them get a clear picture of where they've been, where they are, and where they're going. For institutions with limited resources, this data allows leaders to do better for their institutions without wasting budget or time. There are 2 main areas BI breaks down into: KPIs and benchmarks. These measurements work together to provide indisputable data. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, are metrics that education leaders can use to track factors they see as important to running their organization. This can refer to processes and/or functions that administrators see as necessary to reaching performance goals. Having this real-time data stored in one organized dashboard that's easy to access and navigate is critical when decision time comes. And today's software makes the data even more transparent by offering robust, customized performance reports with just a few clicks. Benchmarking, or measuring performance against particular reference points, is valuable internally as well as externally. Having a black and white picture of your institution's facts and figures is invaluable. But when measured against those of other institutions, leaders can get highly useful insights into the direction they need to steer their operations. Used together, KPIs and benchmarks can help institutions identify waste of all kinds and readjust as needed. Proper business intelligence is a game changer because it's dynamic. Stagnant reporting doesn't always tell the truth, whereas real-time data at your fingertips will always provide the most accurate portrayal of your operations. We commonly tell students to show their work, and BI is how education leaders can practice what they preach on the road to better institutions. Organizations using a computerized maintenance management system, CMMS, to track and analyze their operational data report an average of 20.1% reduction in equipment downtime and a 28.3% increase in productivity. Enlisting comprehensive dashboards to get live looks at items like work performed and associated costs. BI also proves integral for justifying decisions like new hires, retrofitting projects, repairing items versus replacing them, and more, as well as storing easy-to-locate information on things like equipment history and maintenance scheduling.
So Lori's exactly right. KPIs are critical to the organization in making informed decisions. Here at FCPS, we use the BI tool, the Dude Intelligent tool, almost every day to make incisive decisions. We also use the data in SchoolDude, and we pull it out externally to make other decisions as well. This is one of those examples. We use Capital Forecast as one of the modules within the Dude Solutions. And what we were trying to do with this slide is show if we weren't giving any money for doing capital replacements, how our FCI, our Facility Condition Index, would increase over time. So if we look at this top line, this red line here, that is what would happen if we had zero money annually over the course of from 2017 to 2028, over the next 10 years. Now that black line indicates right here what would happen if we were given I think it's $28,000. I'm sorry, it's hard to read that. $28,000 or $28 million a year, and what our FCI would go up to over the next 10 years. And then if we were given $31 million each year for the next 10 years, our FCI would stay flat. So really what we were showing is that we weren't asking for more money. We were just making sure that they understand what our current needs are by showing how our facility condition index would be if we were issued no money. So some of the other things that we track is what we've actually spent money on. So this is a radar chart that we pulled our data out into Excel to try to explain to people where we're spending our money. So amongst all these different types of building systems, when we're talking about these different building systems here all the way around the radar chart, this inside shows, the blue shows how much money we need to be spending. And the green, I know it's a little hard to see there, so I'll zoom in here. The green here indicates how much money we did spend. So if you see, right now we have a huge need for HVAC and interior finishes, but we don't have a big need for roofs anymore. A couple years ago, we started spending a lot of money on fixing roofs. But now you can see that we've spent, the green shows how much money we spent. So we spent this much money on roofs, and now we don't have any deferred maintenance in that, or very little deferred maintenance, but we were missing our HVAC systems. So using this data to be able to tell your story, to be able to show what it is that you need, is a very powerful tool. Another thing that we do here is, Curtis had mentioned the 8 areas that we have. Is what we do is we do a quality assurance check with each one of the areas to make sure that the supervisors and foremen of those areas are handling the workload appropriately with their mechanics. So you'll see across the top here is the areas, and then the items that we're grading them on are over on the side. So we can actually color code this and using conditional format to show whether they're doing good or they're doing bad or amongst their peers in the other areas. So we do that based on corrective maintenance, and we do that also on preventive maintenance to show how long does it take to get work orders closed on average, how many days aged are they, are they, how many work in progress work orders do they have? Are they putting information on the work orders that we can use in the future, like in the actions taken block? There's a section for the mechanic to make notes. Are they putting notes on there? For us, it's really important to tell that story. It's one thing to know what came in. It's another thing to know what it took to make the problem or to resolve the problem. And then also to put labor on those work orders also to show that, okay, we did these work orders, but are we capturing everything that we're supposed to be capturing to gather that true cost of ownership on those pieces of equipment?
Great. Thank you for that, Mike. Always wonderful to see, all the great work that you guys are doing and how you can certainly prove that you're being good stewards to the resources that you are receiving. Would like to then ask the group, how often do you produce reports to share either with your leadership or your administration or board or your team? So whether that be monthly or quarterly, biannually, annually, or any other type of frequency. If you would take a bit then and let us know what your requirements are. Okay, so it does seem to be an even split. Guess then that, there's just no telling relative then to the frequency. Obviously there are benefits to being able to report on more frequent basis and that you are able to kind of see trends as they occur much quicker, and then obviously any other patterns that may occur as well. So as some of you may know, we have the world's largest education database with almost 7,000 education institutions. We're up to 2.5 million professionals and 37 million students that we support. Last year alone, we had 35.5 million work orders processed within the platform, 3 million IT incidents, and 8.7 million events or facilities usage. In total, we also managed $1 billion in utility expenses. We have all this invaluable data that we've been storing since SchoolDude started, so we decided the way that we could really bring added value to our customers is to use it. So the platform that all of that wonderful work is processed within is in our cloud-based platform. As you see on the screen, it is color-coded to represent the departments that those solutions primarily support. So when we've been talking about CMMS, that will primarily then live within our maintenance management solutions there on the left-hand side. It runs the gamut from our corrective and preventive or predictive maintenance, as we had discussed, inventory for your consumables or inventory control measures, capital forecast, as Mike had mentioned, for your capital planning needs and being able to really see where to plan and budget for those various building systems. Critical alarm automation kind of ties in with any of your existing building automation systems and management systems as well. And then the Connect GIS primarily then for being able to share all of your facilities information via internet connection. The other solutions that we have kind of tie in with that maintenance platform insofar as facility usage, as I mentioned, so the events that may occur within your institution, energy management for you to be able to evaluate overall facility performance, technology management for any IT help desk needs, and then safety management. So unfortunately, I feel like every day there's always something in the news about something then that's happened either in crisis or just from a weather or emergency sort of standpoint. So we do have then a safety management platform there to assist you with as well. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that feedback. So we'll go ahead then and move into the Q&A portion. Please feel free to use the Q&A or chat function there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and we'll be happy to go ahead then and open up the questions. Your lines are muted currently, so just be advised about that we'll certainly get your questions through the chat and then respond back to you.
Perfect. So our first question is for you, Mike and Curtis. They're wondering, do you plan on employing more predictive maintenance components to your maintenance program? And if you can, what would you like to add next?
Yes, we do have plans to add more. Like I said, we had started out with thermal imaging early in the program and wanted to see how much of that we were actually able to accomplish with the team that we had put together. And we have some additional time, so we're going to pursue purchase of vibration analysis equipment in our next budget year and move off into that area so that we can start checking for vibration as it occurs in our major pieces of equipment first, and can even get down into doing some vibration analysis on air handling units and stuff where we may be having some sound issues that are affecting classrooms and affecting instruction in those classrooms.
That's awesome. And the second question also was for you guys. It's kind of asking one of our poll questions back at you. They're wondering, how often do you guys produce reports for your teams, leadership, board, etc.? And are there any reports that you pull more frequently than others that you find helpful?
There's a lot of reports that we pull. Some of them are on a monthly basis or a time basis. Some of them are based on a need or need generated. There are some of the examples of the monthly ones we pull. We capture actually 40 hours worth of labor in the solution for each one of our technicians, regardless of whether they're on site or not. We don't do it by wrench turning time. We actually do 40 hours. So that's one of the reports that we pull monthly just to see how they're doing. We also pull financials for different departments to see what the trend is of how they're spending and what they're spending it on, to have a bigger overview of that. And then we have a data quality specialist that works for us as well, and they run reports to make sure that the information that is getting inputted into the solution is good information, because we all know that as soon as you see a little piece of bad information, people start to question, is your data good? So we make sure that our mechanics are inputting the data the way that it needs to be in there, so that when it comes time to analyze that data and make information out of it, it's true data.
Perfect, great. Thank you then for that feedback. Any other questions from the group?
I think that is it for today.
Wonderful. Well, on behalf of Dude Solutions and Curtis and Mike and myself, really appreciate your participation in today's dialogue. If you have any other questions, any other needs and going forward, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we will be sending recordings of today's presentation out to all of our attendees. So thank you once again for your time and participation, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.